I started a little bit deliberately with the beauty of nature so that we can get to the really ugly part of nature. I mean, it's sort of the two-faced part of nature. It's both ugly and beautiful. Humans. Humans are both awesome and awful, glorious and villainous. They're made in the image of God, and some of them don't seem to remember that. Some of them think that they're God. And the story coming out of Canada as of yesterday, breaking news, I got the judgment the 5 minutes before going live, was that Katie from the Universal Ostrich Farm in British Columbia, which was issued a cull order or a kill order, a slaughter order, a murder order. Some smartass on the internet says, Viva, murder doesn't apply to animals. Well, first of all, when you're using it hyperbolically, it does. When Liquid Death says murder your thirst, they don't mean literally the intentional unlawful killing of a human. They mean applying that rationale to destroying your thirst. Hashtag not an ad. Although I would sponsor Liquid Death if they were so listening. It's delicious stuff. It's murder. In the hyperbolic sense, in the spiritual sense, in the moral sense. The Canadian Food Inspection Agency, CFIA, remember it, say it loud. They should be very proud of what they're doing because they're doing it to protect people after all, right? You don't go anonymize yourselves, protect your tweets. If you're doing something that is bona fide protection of humans, you'd be naturally praised if you were doing that. They get a kill order to slaughter. It was just under 400 ostriches. I got confirmation of this so I don't make a mistake. Just under 400 ostriches because a couple of them allegedly tested positive for the avian flu months ago. They get a kill order for all of them, even the healthy ones, even the ones that survived the avian flu. They get this kill order based on an anal swab PCR test of 2 birds, depriving the owners of their own right and ability to do their own tests. They get a kill order. The family of Ostrich Farms, it's Universal Ostrich Farms, which has been in the family for 30 plus years. Some of these ostriches are 35 years old, have been in the family for 35 years. They go and get an emergency injunction enjoining the CFIA from enforcing its kill order. They then have a hearing on judicial review of the righteousness, the rightfulness, the lawfulness of the order itself. 2 months later, they get a ruling that says, no, the ruling, we have to defer to the authority of the Soviet tribunal that is the CFIA, and their order wasn't fundamentally unfair, yada, yada, yada. Their order stands. So what was an urgent slaughter back in the day to prevent the outbreak or the spread of the H5N1, H1, whatever the hell that is, the avian flu, the next scamdemic that's going to be co-opted to strip us of our rights, liberties, and property. What was an urgency then is now 2 months later, all of the ostriches are healthy. None of them are sick. And they go say, well, the order you got 2 months ago with the information you had at the time was reasonable, etc. And so now go and kill them. And if you think I'm exaggerating, enraged, stay within the bounds of the law because what they want to do is trigger people into doing something stupid so they can then lock people up and deprive people of their rights even more. BC Ostrich Farm, quote, devastated after federal judge rules cull of nearly 400 birds can proceed. Farm suffered avian flu outbreak. When? You scumbag pieces of shit at the CBC. When? But owners have argued they did not pose wider risk. When did they have the avian flu outbreak? How big of an outbreak was it? Months ago? A couple of dozen? At best? BC Ostrich Farm says it's devastated by the court ruling that upholds an order to have nearly 400 bird flock killed due to the detection of the avian flu. When? CBC. When was it detected? And hopes to continue the fight the case in court. The order to have the birds killed has attracted the attention of hundreds of supporters who have made monetary donations to the farm's legal fund and held rallies in favor of saving the ostriches. The owners of Universal Ostrich in Edgewood, southeastern BC, argue the birds have survived the outbreak, are happy and healthy, and could provide valuable insight into fighting the disease. Though federal court justice Russell Zinn wrote, "It's considerable sympathy, yada, yada, yada," he found that the CFIA ordered the cull after following proper procedure and its mandate to attempt to stop the spread of the deadly virus. 2 months ago, we read the decision yesterday. Avian influenza is a virus capable of causing serious harm to both animals and humans. So we better kill the animals. Whatever, skip that. In a post to its Facebook page, Save Our Ostriches, the farm says it's absolutely devastated by the ruling, which includes an order to pay $15,000 to cover the government's legal costs. They're taking the private citizens' money, ordering them to pay for the government's legal costs, which are taxpayer paid in the first place. Oh, but they're going to be saving the taxpayers from this frivolous contestation of having their animals slaughtered. So they're going to, in addition to killing their animals, make them pay for the legal fees resulting from contesting having their animals murdered. You want to talk about adding insult to injury? I don't even know if this is adding injury to insult. No, this is worse. This is adding injury to whatever. Heartbroken. Katie Pasidney, whose mother is co-owner of the farm, says they plan to fight this legally as far as we can go. She told the Canadian press they are inviting supporters to come to the farm and show, quote, kindness, peacefulness, and love. in protest of the cull. They're not going to make it public topic because they don't want everyone to know we have thousands of people behind us, she said. CBC News has reached out to the CFIA. Hey, CBC News, when did they have the outbreak? The cull was first ordered December 2024. Sorry, I should be fair. December 31, 2024. So January 2025. January to February, March, April, May. 4 months ago. It's January, February, March, April, 4.5 months ago. It's an emergency. Got to kill them now because they tested positive for avian flu 5 freaking months ago. The lawyer for Ostrich Farm argued they failed in its mandate to fully investigate, yada, yada. They failed because they're a bunch of animals looking for an excuse to slaughter, to terrorize, to usurp private property ownership rights in the name of the greater good. This court cannot consider new evidence. Oh, of course, you can't consider the fact that they're not sick. You got to kill them as though they are sick based on what they weren't at the time when you know that they're not. We can't consider new evidence. We can't accept reality. We can't hear the fact that they're not sick now and haven't been sick for 4 months or 2 months, whatever. Can't hear that. We got to go and kill them now because we thought they were sick 4 months ago. Yeah. This is Chernobyl level defy reality. This is like Soviet levels do not believe your own lying eyes. You notice that CBC doesn't tell you when the outbreak was because they would not have any public support if they told you when the outbreak occurred and the fact that these animals have not been sick for months. They're not proud of their decision, though, it would seem, because it's an amazing thing. When you're proud, you're saving people. If I were responsible for saving people, I might not toot my own horn too much. I mean, I did do the Heimlich maneuver on my mother. Straight up saved her. She was choking on lettuce, Snowden delicatessen, Montreal, DeCarry. I did the Heimlich maneuver in a restaurant and popped a load of lettuce out of my mom's throat, and I kept it in a bag on a fridge until it rotted to the point I had to throw it out. And I said, never forget I saved your life. So I can be a big pain in the ass. I can take money out of your wallet whenever I want. I'm joking. I'm not really joking, actually, but I did that. They should be very proud. No, they're not proud. They're protecting their tweets. The rabble don't understand what's good for them. Now they're harassing us, and now they're harassing us on Twitter by tagging us and calling us a bunch of monsters that we would kill 400 healthy 300-pound ostriches that have been in the family of this farm for 35 years. They don't know what's good for them. So now we must, as a government agency, protect our tweets. I don't pay for that anymore because I don't pay taxes in Canada now, but Canadians pay for that. Canadians are paying for the government agency to take their taxpayer dollars, murder their animals, and then protect themselves and shield themselves from criticism when they get blowback for being a bunch of murderous dictators. Be proud. Inspection Can is their handle. I posted the video. Share it. Let the world know. If we fail as people right now to prevent this slaughter, we fail. They might still very well do it. They carry out unlawful executions of innocent people because they can't admit that they were wrong, because if they admit that they were wrong in one case, they will have to admit that they were wrong in other cases, or at least potentially. If they successfully slaughter these 400 ostriches, we will all have collectively failed. It is the biggest, obscenest load of shit you can possibly imagine. When I had Katie on the channel, I say, logistically speaking, I know what ostriches look like. I don't even want to say that there's a farm somewhere else because they might get raided by the cops and have their ostriches slaughtered. I used to go to an ostrich farm. I used to get ostrich eggs. Go look up Viva Fry ostrich. Some of my most popular videos involved ostrich eggs. One of them was an ostrich egg omelet. 7 million views. Very weird. A lot of from India people commented on that video. Then I did the world's biggest egg in the vinegar. I soaked an ostrich egg in vinegar for 2 weeks until it melted off all of the shell. It was the coolest thing ever. I've seen those animals. They're beautiful. I think they're stupid, but they're beautiful. They've got talons. They can rip you open in one kick. They've got legs. They've got juicy, tender, very delicious edible meat on them. How do you kill 300, 400 ostriches? Like, do you chop their heads off? Do you shoot them with a shotgun? Do you euthanize them, like calmly, like inject them and put them to sleep and then euthanize them? Where do you dispose of their bodies? They were making, Katie at Ostrich Farm, they were making them dig trenches for their corpses. You think animals are not going to dig up those things and eat those animals? And if spread of disease is the concern, you think that's inhumane? And then as Katie explained during the interview, they gave her parents, a number to call afterwards if they're distraught. Can you imagine? Someone comes in and kills your squirrel, kills your raccoon like they did in New York, comes in and kills your dog. There's a movie about this. That's what's going on in Canada. Make some freaking noise. Peaceful, non-violent, non-harassing, because up in Canada, they got some very, very lax laws in terms of what constitutes harassment. If you misgender someone at the CFIA, they might have you down for a hate crime, potentially life in prison. I'm joking, bada bing, bada boom. Absolute insanity. Just understand, the birds are healthy. They've been healthy for months. That judge comes out and says, well, they made the best decision they did at the time. Well, it ain't the time anymore. There is no risk of avian flu right now. And you're not going to eliminate the risk of the avian flu by slaughtering 400 healthy ostriches, some of whom survived and might have some scientific value for their ability to survive the avian flu. But they got to kill. They got to kill as many birds as possible, because otherwise, if they don't slaughter millions and millions of birds, well, the H5N1 avian flu is not really the public health crisis that they need it to be in order to usurp more powers, lock you down, shut you up, and govern you harder, Daddy.